everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Rent to Home Show. I'm Alfonso Salemi, your host and also co-founder and co-owner of JAAG Properties. Today, you are in for an amazing treat. We're sitting down with Victoria Spinelli from Hello Homeowner. She's here talking about the rent to home strategy. She's also a real estate investor, an amazing person that we've gotten to know over the last little while, working with clients and from different spots. So thank you so much for joining us today, Victoria.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great for you to be here. I really am looking forward to the conversation. We align on so many different levels in terms of helping people into home ownership, plain and simple, right? So for those that haven't had the chance to meet you or know you, you have a great Instagram feed or Instagram channel. Definitely follow Victoria on there as well. But please, a little bit of a background about yourself.
Yeah, so I started investing in real estate in 2015.
Okay.
I was actually buying small multifamilies. I was doing the BRRRR, if you're familiar with that. So buying, renovating, refinancing, renting them out and whatnot. And then I saw through that, like these tenants, they just were not able to get into home ownership. They were kind of stuck renting. And we've seen the market, especially the rental market too, just rise. And what used to be, $800 a month is $1,500, $1,600 a month for these people. And I thought, well, how can I help these people through real estate? So then I learned about rent to own. And that's kind of how I got into starting Hello Homeowner.
Gotcha. And you know what? From a multifamily investor, and I don't want to rush everybody to the same stroke, but most are like, how can I get these people out to get more rent? From you having it from the perspective of how can we help these people own their home so that they're not paying high amounts of rent and not getting anything out of it. So different in a unique perspective. And again, a lot of why we kind of jive in with JAAG Properties, right? So so in your experience, again, from 2015, a lot has changed in the real estate market, up and down and prices and interest rates and all that kind of stuff. But even going back to the clients or the renters that were in your apartments and now that are applying for the rent to home program, give us a little bit of background. Who are these people, the typical, clients or tenant buyers that you're seeing?
Yeah. A lot of these people are young professionals who just haven't had the opportunity to save up enough for their down payment. Again, with the rent being so high and cost of living in general being so high, it's just a challenge for them to be able to save up enough to get a down payment. Some of them, they also just have some bruised credit. They maybe weren't aware of even what a credit score was. And so they made some bad decisions that they've ultimately learned from and are willing to take some advice and some help in order to repair their credit to be able to help them to get into home ownership.
Got it. So we have the young professionals, the bruised credit. Like any other types of clients, or like if they're young, they're old, they're from, I know I'm leading you a little bit here, but really, right, from all different walks of life.
Yeah, agreed. I've seen people that they've been through a divorce that may have impacted their credit as well. What's another example that I can give you? I've had somebody that I've spoken with who they actually had some medical issues. So they weren't able to work. Yep. They had to take out some loans. Again, they weren't able to maybe pay those loans back on time just due to the unemployment. So they've had some bruised credit just due to some personal circumstances, unfortunate circumstances that happened in their life. But they ultimately have good jobs and they're going to be able to get themselves out of that. They just aren't going to be able to go to a bank right now and get a mortgage, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. And that's probably and thank you for answering. That's one of the toughest questions that I always get is, who is this rent to home program for?
Yeah.
And it's really for anyone, any age, any circumstance. Life happens, and for all different things that we encounter through that. So obviously we talked about those different types of people, but what is that preventing them from qualifying? Like, so when they go and talk to the bank or a mortgage professional and they're there and they want to own their home and they're filling out that application, what are some of the things that you see that are preventing them from, or why the bank wouldn't want to qualify them?
Yeah. So when we talk about not having enough down payment, it's not necessarily that they can't qualify. It's just they can't qualify for enough to actually purchase the home that they're looking for or the home that's in the market. So in that case, they're qualifying, just not for enough to actually be able to get a home in their market. And that's a similar thing with the bruised credit is they may be able to get a mortgage, but their interest rate might just be so high that now their payments are so high that they won't be able to qualify through the bank.
I see. So now when they're contacting you or getting in touch with you, how do you start this process? So, like obviously name, hi, how are you, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. They've probably seen a bunch of your videos and stuff like that. So, but kind of walk us through that process because, like I like to think it's almost like an advocate for those clients that you are. So walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So typically when they come to me, I have a little bit of information about them. They've already filled out a form that tells me a little bit about their income, their credit score, if they have any down payment savings. And I like to understand from them, how did you find out about rent to own? I'm always curious to know, like in general, how did you find out about this concept? Not even just about Hello Homeowner, but the concept itself. And we sort of start the conversation from there. And I let them know, like, maybe you've talked to your realtor or a friend or a family member. They might have had a bad experience or know somebody who has had a bad experience with rent to own. Yeah. And I kind of just let them know, like, my role for them is to be their advocate and to be their advisor so that they know I'm going to work with them and I have their best interest at heart. And I work with companies like JAAG or other investors who invest in rent to own that are credible and trustworthy so that they don't have to be worried about who they're placing their money with. That I'm going to be that person who's done that vetting for them to give them kind of peace of mind.
Got it. And that's so valuable because, you're not necessarily telling them you have to do this. You're almost looking out into the market, seeing what the best solution is. And obviously with your experience from 2015 doing this, you have multiple contacts, a large network of people that you can help and assist them through that process.
Exactly. So, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, absolutely.
But when I talk to these people, I want to know, like, if this is your current financial situation and I think that you might be able to get a mortgage with the bank, I'm going to tell you that if they haven't already explored that path. Sure. Yeah. If they can get a mortgage from the bank, I would definitely recommend that route. However, if they can't, that's where I would then, talk them through what are the issues that are preventing you from getting a mortgage today and what can we do to help you get into a place where you can get a mortgage in the future.
Absolutely. And, twofold is that one, sometimes people are really nervous or shy or just not open when they're talking about their financial background, right? I think that we've got raised in a society where it's almost faux pas to talk about, those finances. So how do you bridge that gap with them when you're talking about, their income and their down payment and their history and about money, essentially, right?
It's actually funny you say that because in my experience with my friends and family, it also has been kind of a taboo topic. The people that have applied so far, they're actually pretty open.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it hasn't been something that I've really had to overcome necessarily. They've been pretty honest. I've had people who said, I have had a prior bankruptcy. It was 20 years ago, but I just wanted to be honest with you and let you know so you had a full picture. So it hasn't been a challenge for me thus far to kind of like pull that information out of them. They've been pretty honest and upfront.
Well, and that's great because even from our standpoint, I'm sure from your standpoint, the more information that we have, the full picture, the easier it is for us to help them.
Exactly.
Right? Because if all of a sudden something pops up last minute, then, hey, we can't do this, or hey, because of that bankruptcy that we didn't know about, it's still showing up on your credit. That might prevent them, right?
Right.
We were talking a little bit before we started recording here about, maybe the stigmas or, when you mentioned rent to own or, a lease option or this type of route to them, what kind of feedback or have you been hearing from, whether it's your network, from potential tenant buyers? What's the most common thing or common things that you hear?
So right now, I'm actually hearing from a lot of realtors that they're very interested in learning more about rent to own because of the current market. Yep. I actually haven't heard too much about the bad stigma. Okay. I had a colleague who I mentioned about rent to own. She told me she'd been through a consumer proposal. And she said, she is the one person I think who said, oh, my realtor told me that that's a scam. Yeah. And I said, it's actually not a scam. Like there are maybe some people out there who are doing it for the wrong reasons, but it's like any product or service that you're going to purchase, you need to do your due diligence on the company that you're going to do work with. So in this case, you are putting down a decent amount of money up front. You're going to be working with this company for a couple of years. So you have to do your due diligence to make sure that they're reputable and they have a good track record.
Very well said. And, whether that's realtors or mortgage brokers or, rent to own companies, you have to do that due diligence. Not all are created equal. And especially if you're making that large financial investment, it is wise to do that. Get to know the company. We want to get to know our clients to see if we want to work with them, if they want to work with us, if it is a good fit,
exactly.
Right? It's not a fit for everyone. We're not a fit for everyone. Not everyone is a fit for us, but, finding those synergies to make sure that it does work.
Agreed.
So, okay. So when you've gone through the process, they've shared it, they understand it, they've gone through it. What at that point there? What's your next step? How do you kind of evolve the client through that process at that point?
Yeah. So once I've spoken to them, I have an idea of their situation. I think that rent to own would be a good fit. And they are somebody that we would want to work with, then I would engage with somebody like yourself. And I would basically give you a little bit of background on who they are, what their situation is, and what they're looking for, so that you can kind of continue on the process with them if you also see them being a good fit for your company.
Got it. Awesome. And then, we do our thing. We go through the process and then help them get into home ownership and again, help more dreams come true. So quick shift of gears. I just wanted to talk about first-time buyers. All right. So they've never owned a home before. They want to get into the market, whether they're young professionals or any of those that we've listed. You've had a chance to go through our rent to home program. So do you think that's a good fit or a good strategy for them to get into the market?
Absolutely. I know some people, they say, it's better that you just wait until you can get a mortgage than doing rent to own. I don't agree with that. When you do a rent to own program through something like rent to home, you are able to lock in your future purchase price. And typically that future purchase price is going to be less than what the market value of that home is going to be in the future. So if you're a first-time home buyer and you can be approved for a rent-to-own program today, it's actually beneficial for you because you can, in theory, start building equity right off the bat.
I love that. And without, whether it's a rent-to-own strategy, what is the likeliness of maybe someone that's a first-time homeowner doesn't have that credit of becoming a homeowner? What are the chances?
Through rent to own?
Without that program, if there wasn't something like this, what are the chances?
I think right now it's just a very difficult market for a first-time home buyer to be able to get into for a couple of the reasons that we've talked about. I think one of the main ones just being it's very difficult to save up for a down payment, especially if they're already moved out and renting on their own. So in that sense, I would say it's pretty difficult for a first-time home buyer to go out with a realtor and actually buy their own home today on their own.
Yeah, no, very, very true. And again, the market's constantly changing and constantly shifting. So kind of to wrap it up, what is your advice? So, someone is watching this, they're saying, hey, I want to get into home ownership, don't know how, I don't even know where to go and check my credit or who to trust, and I don't have much saved up. What's your advice to them? What's their first step?
Yeah, I would say go to Google, type in rent to own. Just honestly, just talk to a couple different companies and see how you feel. There is a gut feel as well when it comes to like assessing if that's a company that you feel trustworthy of and want to work with. So definitely call a couple companies, reach out to them. I'm also, of course, happy to help you because I have that network of different people that I'm able to refer you to that have already done that vetting. But I would say just take action, start talking to people, arm yourself with knowledge. And if something doesn't feel right, then don't move forward, move on.
Great advice. And you know what? It's been such a pleasure getting to know you over the last little while, working with JAAG, working with Hello Homeowner. You've been amazing, Victoria. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise. It's been great speaking with you today.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you on a future episode of the Rent a Home Show.